Happy Monday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you are watching this. Let's go ahead and jump right into the 4 tips or nuggets that I mentioned yesterday. The first one being, as you might remember, pertaining to an unexpected source of weight gain. The first one for today is excessive healthy fats. You might say, Dayla, healthy fats being a source of weight gain? Yes, if we're having them excessively, they very well could be. This speaks to a couple of items. The first one being that we need fats. Sometimes some of us, whether it be now or maybe previously, you can recall a time where you were thinking, I need to eat fat-free everything. I need to stay away from anything that has fat. It depends on the fat, though. A lot of the food that's readily available to us has fats that we need to eat very much in a moderated way. Trans fats and saturated fats are the fats that we need to watch how much we're eating of them and maybe have a lesser amount of, especially depending on our genetic situation. The healthy fats are those that are the monounsaturated fats and the polyunsaturated fats. An example for a monounsaturated fat are avocados or olives, olive oil, sunflower oil. The polyunsaturated fats, examples of those are different types of nuts such as walnuts, also salmon and sardines, flaxseed oil, soybean oil. These are examples of the polyunsaturated fats. So you just might want to check how much your consumption of those. If you're eating 4 or 5 avocados a day, you might want to bring it down to 1 or 2. See how that affects your consumption. The second tip for today is a tip to drop pounds. And the first tip about how to drop pounds is to chew your food well and to chew it thoroughly. This is also one that we're familiar with, but how many of us are applying it to our consumption of meals might be a little bit questionable. Yesterday, I mentioned that the pace of many of our lives has us constantly going, and one of the ways that shows up is when we eat our meals. Many of us eat our meals in our cars, running out the door, running from here to there. If we actually sit down and have a meal, we're usually having it in T-minus 2 minutes. Usually we're not just eating, but doing something else while we're eating, which can many times cause us to not focus on how we're eating. So starting to chew our food mindfully and slowly and chew it well gives a way for digestion to work, because digestion does start in our mouth. When we chew thoroughly, it helps our body assimilate the nutrients that start to break down in our mouth. So it takes about 20 minutes or so for our stomach to send the message to our brain that we are full. So for eating, specifically chewing well, that gives our stomach time to send that message, and we can get full off of less food. So aim to chew. If you're one of those particular persons asking how many chews, aim to chew about 30 times per bite. This will definitely help out. A factor, thirdly, that can be weighing you down is stress. Stress is something that many of us experience, and at high levels too, which it has a ripple effect in a lot of different ways and can ripple negatively into anxiety and all kinds of other things. So monitoring this will be very helpful. One of the things about stress that shows up in us physically is that it produces cortisol. And cortisol produces stubborn belly fat, which you have probably heard, which makes it hard to get rid of. But if we have serotonin, if serotonin is being produced, it helps wipe out cortisol, and it is produced when the nervous system's physical relaxation response is engaged. So things that help engage that response are hot baths, our laughter, our plenty of hugs and kisses, exquisite food enjoyed slowly are great places to start this process. And then finally, the fourth tip for today is a tip to feed your soul. And that tip is to get moving. Finding a physical activity that you enjoy and incorporating that into your daily living. If there's a physical activity that you enjoy, you're definitely more apt to do it in a regular way. And this very well might be a goal that you might have for the beginning of the new year to actually carry out some type of physical activity well after the beginning of the new year. So, for example, physical activities that I really enjoy resistance training and weightlifting. Which I typically go to the gym for that. And not always, but I typically go to the gym for that. Some people despise going to the gym. So there's an activity that you like that's not in the gym. By all means, work that out. I also really enjoy dance classes. I haven't been to one in several weeks, but I really enjoy dance classes. Hip hop, Latin dance classes, Zumba dance classes. They're a lot of work, but they're so much fun that even though they kicked your backside, they somehow managed to not feel like that much work. They were so fun. So these are things that I enjoy. I had the great pleasure of being on a conference call several weeks ago, and a woman asked about this very thing. What are some things that I recommend to incorporate in terms of exercise and physical activity into her situation? She's married, has a couple of young children. She said she used to walk, but once it started getting darker earlier, she hasn't been doing that. So I did give her a couple of recommendations. But I started off answering her question with a question for her and asking her what type of physical activities did she enjoy, even when she was younger. What type of physical activities did she like participating in? She didn't really know at that point in time, but I definitely hope that she spent some time to consider that. Because again, if there's something that she figures out that she enjoys doing, she'll somehow, whether it's at home, in her neighborhood, however it needs to happen, once she finds out something that she enjoys, she'll be able to maintain that. The chances of it being carried on will likely be sustained. So those are the 4 tips for today. If you have any comments, any questions about anything that I mentioned, please feel free to ask above. Also, as I mentioned yesterday, feel free to pass the video along. I'll see you on Wednesday.